So you're thinking about Dhaka. It's a city that's just buzzing with energy and opportunity, right? But finding a place to live here, whether you're renting for the first time or looking to invest, can feel, well, a little overwhelming. Let's break it all down and make it simple.
I mean, it's a super dynamic market, which is exciting, but it also means that finding that perfect spot can sometimes feel like you're trying to solve a massive puzzle. The good news? You've just got to have the right map.
And that map starts right here. We're going to zoom in on four of the most popular, most sought-after areas in the entire city. You've got the premium hubs of Gulshan and Banani, the classic central vibe of Dhanmondi, the well-planned streets of Uttara, and the booming Bashundhara residential area. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the costs in Dhaka's pretty hot rental market. Then I'll give you a renter's survival guide. After that, we'll switch gears and talk investing. We'll do a big area showdown to help you find your perfect match. And then we'll wrap it all up with a final checklist. Sound good? Let's go.
First things first, let's talk about the money. What should you actually expect to shell out to live in one of these prime neighborhoods?
So why are rents here so consistent? It really comes down to one thing: constant motion. People are always on the move for new jobs, for better schools for their kids, or for business opportunities. This keeps demand high. And that's a big reason why furnished apartments are getting so popular. They're basically a plug-and-play solution that lets you hit the ground running.
All right, let's dig into this chart, because what's really interesting here is the range. Just look, in Uttara, a two-bedroom furnished place might go for 45 to 60,000 taka. But jump over to a premium spot like Gulshan, and that same two-bedroom could be anywhere from 50 to 85,000. And check out the leap for a three-bedroom. In some of these areas, you're pushing past 300,000. This gives you a really solid idea of what to budget for. And if you're a visual person like me, this chart just makes it crystal clear. We've averaged out the two-bedroom rents for a quick comparison. You can see Gulshan and Bernani way up top, around 95,000 taka. Then Mondi's next at 85, but then look at that drop. Bashundhara is down at 68 and Uttara's at 60. It paints a very clear picture of the price hierarchy.
But here's the most important thing to remember about pricing, and I really mean this. These numbers, they are just a starting point. In Dhaka, the specific street you're on, the quality of the building, how reliable the generator is, all of these things can totally change the price, even for two apartments that are the exact same size.
Okay, so you've got the budget in mind. Now let's get practical. Let's talk about a renter's survival guide. Because honestly, most problems aren't about the rent itself. They're about the little details that weren't clear from day one.
Before you even book a viewing, you need to ask these three golden questions. 1. Is the service fee for things like security and maintenance part of the rent or extra? 2. How do they bill for the generator? And 3, and this is crucial for furnished places, what exactly does furnished mean? You have to ask for a detailed inventory list. Trust me, this step alone will save you so many future headaches. All right, you're at the apartment. Time to put on your detective head. These are the things that actually affect your day-to-day life. Turn on the PAPs, check the water pressure, ask if the generator backs up the entire flat or just the lights and fans. How's the lift? Listen, what do you hear? Construction? Noisy neighbors? Don't forget to check for sunlight, the condition of the ACs, internet options. All this stuff is what really makes or breaks a rental experience. And here is a super simple but absolutely game-changing pro tip. When you get the keys and do the handover, take pictures of everything. Every room, every appliance, every piece of furniture. It creates a perfect record, and it is the single best way to avoid arguments about damages when it's time to move out. All right, let's switch hats. Tape off the renter hat, and let's put on our investor hat. If you're thinking about buying your first property in Dhaka, the goal isn't just to find a nice apartment. It's to find one that's going to give you a smart, predictable financial return. So here is the number one rule for any new investor. You have to look past the attractive headline rent. The number you really need to care about is the net rent. This is the actual cash that ends up in your bank account after you subtract all the costs. Things like potential vacancies, repairs, service fees, and replacing stuff. This number, the net rent, is your true return on investment. So, as a general rule of thumb, this is how you should plan for those deductions. For a standard, unfurnished place, you should probably budget about 10 to 15% of the annual rent for all those expenses. But for a furnished property, that number jumps up to 15, maybe even 25%, because, there's just more wear and tear on furniture and appliances. Factoring this in from the start gives you a way more realistic picture of your investment. Okay, now for the really fun part. We've looked at the costs, the renting process, the investment side. Let's put it all together.
It's time for an area showdown to help you figure out which neighborhood is the absolute best fit for you.
So this matrix is like a quick scorecard. We've rated each area on 4 key things: how much rent you can charge, how many potential tenants there are, how affordable it is for a new investor, and how consistent the quality is. Pretty simple. More stars means it scores higher in that category.
And this slide tells you what all those ratings actually mean for you. Let's break it down. Gulshan and Banani, perfect for corporate clients and expats. You get top-tier rent and great security, but it's the most expensive and the traffic can be a headache. Dhanmondi is that classic central spot, great for families and professionals who want convenience, but you'll find a mix of older and newer buildings there. Uttara offers fantastic balance for long-term families. It's well-planned and close to the airport, but you really have to double-check the generator and water situation. And finally, Bashandara is awesome if you want newer buildings and has a huge rental demand. Just be prepared for some ongoing construction and a bit of variability in building management.
Woo, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's boil it all down to one final actionable checklist with a key piece of advice just for you, whether you're renting, investing, or trying to manage a property from abroad. Here it is, the bottom line. If you're a tenant, your number one job is to get everything in writing: the total monthly cost and that full inventory list. If you're an investor, forget the sticker price and focus on that net rent after expenses. And for our corporate clients or anyone in the diaspora, predictability is everything. You need fast maintenance, clear billing, and you always get those handover photos. You know, at the end of the day, the smartest choices in Dhaka's real estate market are all about the practical stuff. It's about finding the right building, on the right street, with the right team managing it. So after all this, the only question left is, where will you call home?